The 16 new survivors think they have days to prepare for the game, but we're shocking them and tossing them overboard with just the clothes on their backs.
I hope you're wearing something under that.
They'll have no warning.
Of course I have see-through underwear on.
No supplies.
Whatever you have on, and that's it.
No kidding.
When it comes to twists, Survivor wrote the book.
It's the wildest Survivor yet. Don't miss the 90-minute premiere of Survivor Pearl Island, CBS Thursday at 8, 7 Central.
Every season of Survivor is a story. There are main characters, sidekicks, comic reliefs, and villains. A good season of Survivor tells a compelling story that has you rooting for someone and against someone else, with the hope that it all ends in a satisfying conclusion. Each story that we look at together will go through one character's journey from beginning to end, from the time they're introduced until they inevitably get their torch snuffed or win the game. We are going to look at every character moment and strategic move to determine whether they were a hero or a villain and whether they were a good or bad strategist. And with that, welcome to Once Upon an Island. For reference, we will be observing only what the TV show is showing us and what story is being told through the show. I am going to use some promotional material to help enhance the story, but it will not count towards the character moments or strategic moves. No future seasons will be mentioned as they have no effect on the story being told here, and all character moments and strategic moves are interpreted with the mindset of what the story is trying to tell us. And with that,
39 days, 16 people, 1 survivor.
Burton Roberts, a 31-year-old marketing executive from California, was a castaway on Survivor's 7th season, Survivor Pearl Island. That's right, for the first time ever, Survivor is in Panama, known for its historical importance to pirates, and that is the theme of this season. It permeates everything. Jeff says these 16 players have their suitcases packed, and yep, they're all dressed up for publicity photos, but little do they know, the joke's on them. They're gonna get nothing except the clothes on their back and their tennis shoes. The game starts now and they didn't know it was going to happen. Wow. After the plethora of items gifted to the tribes last season, this is a big difference. Burton is on the Drake tribe with Sandra, Rupert, Fairplay, Krista, Sean, Trish, and Michelle, an eclectic group as you will soon see. Jeff then says both tribes are being given 100 Balboas to trade at the local village for whatever they can get for their camp. Go. Everyone jumps overboard, swims ashore, and Rupert is worn out, so Burton and Sean leave him with their raft.
The other team, Morgan, came up, set their stuff down next to us, and all left. Pirates pillage. Pirates steal. Pirates take advantage. If they were going to be silly enough to put it right next to me, I'm going to put it in my thing. There was my stealing. I stole for the Drake. Take them. You know, get anything.
Whose are these?
Pirated. We are pirates. So we pirated.
How can anyone not love Rupert after that? As it turns out, since the locals speak Spanish and Sandra on the Drake tribe not only speaks Spanish, but is ruthless, they get a ton of stuff while Morgan suffers to get much of anything. Upon arriving at their respective camps, the comparisons continue as Morgan seems disorganized and Drake has their act together. Great for Burton, especially when he connects with Sean right away. But they may not be as socially aware as they need to be.
One of the first items on our to-do list when we got here was build a shelter. And we did that. Actually, it looked pretty good.
I was really tired. I mean, just exhausted. It was like, for the love of God. I mean, I just wanted to breathe for a second. I was like, does anybody have water?
Burton opened up a coconut, and he shared the coconut milk with only Sean and Michelle. I gave Krista the look, and I said, did they offer you any coconut milk? And she was like, no, and I wanted some.
Ah, refreshing.
Sean and Burton are a little out there in their leadership. I just think they need to be a little careful with that because they've already alienated some people.
We are a strong little team. But the dynamic duo there that are posturing for the lead role need to be a little more careful because they're going to make everybody hate them.
Yeah, that is something Burton's going to need to become aware of to avoid being voted out. Knowing how to play nice with this whole tribe is going to be super important. Fair or not, that is the game of Survivor. So one of the things the tribe got in the village was booze. I wasn't joking when I said they hit the jackpot with Sandra. And so we see Fairplay getting absolutely wasted and making some extremely dirty remarks that I'm not going to show here. It's pretty bad. But then the next morning, Burton decides to do a little fishing.
I'm a very active person. I don't like to sit around doing absolutely nothing. And we had this spear gun, and I looked around and I was like, hey guys, I think I'm gonna go out. Sean went with me, and we went out and we were swimming around, and got into this huge mess of fish just all over the place.
Rupert seems to be dead set on being the provider, but Burton seems just as capable. We then go to the immunity challenge where both tribes need to push a cart through an obstacle course, and along the way, the Morgan tribe, specifically the men of the Morgan tribe, decide to get naked. Don't ask why. But Drake pushes on, and
it's a sprint to the finish! First tribe across with all 8 members in their cannon together wins immunity. Go! Drake wins immunity!
Thankfully, the other tribe's peckers weren't too distracting for Drake, but back at camp, this is all anyone could talk about, with Sandra saying she wished the vines would have stuck them right in their peckers, and Burton jokes there were far too many naked men just in general. And that's it for the premiere. Burton has been heavily overshadowed by Rupert, Sandra, and Fairplay, so we shall see if he can break out of their shadow and become more socially aware of his tribe. By the way, did you know this video was selected and created back in July of 2023 at the request of my patrons on Patreon? If you want to pick what I make and watch everything up to 6 months early, then consider joining them. Link in the description. Episode 2 starts and the good times just keep on rolling for Drake. They're eating well, their shelter actually protects them, and that's way more than we can say about the Morgan tribe. We see Sean try to drink from a coconut and he kind of like spills it all over the place, and Burton's like, "You jackhole," and yes, I'm editing that. Burton is like, "You jackhole, don't you know how these things work by now?" I mention this interaction because I think it's really representative of their friendship, and it will come up later. But they do win reward and immunity, so we move on to episode 3, where Sandra and Fairplay keep annoying each other to the point of no return.
So what makes you a better swimmer than me?
I'm not saying that you can't swim. I'm just saying we always want to have our best.
The day we jumped off the boat, where were you when I was already on shore? Still in the damn water.
Day one, swim from the boat. You beat me by so bad. How much did you beat me by?
Boat. What are you talking about?
Swing from the boat. When we jumped off the boat and we went to the shore, if you beat me so bad and I just used my arms, how bad did you beat me?
You know what? I can get loud too. What the I can get loud too.
I don't want to argue with you. That's what I'm from you. You're the one who wants to fight.
Good on Burton to stay out of that. Other people fighting only keeps the target off your back. But other than that, life's good at Drake. They win reward and immunity again, so we move on to episode 4, where Rupert is wearing the skirt he made, and Burton makes the same kind of joke he makes with Sean all the time.
Dude, just whatever you do, say no to crack.
Kill you.
Some plumbers wear skirts.
I'll kill you.
Some plumbers wear skirts.
Bitch. Snap your neck like a damn chicken. You know, it's like high school. The pretty boy jock-ass idiots all gotta pick on me.
Burton and Sean never leave Rupert alone about his skirt. I mean, don't keep talking about something that keeps bothering somebody. If you know it bothers somebody, why don't you just shut up after a while?
You know you're the prettiest one in the skirt around here.
You see, Rupert is the hero of this season. The show even goes out of its way to paint almost everything through his eyes and make all the events about his point of view, and his point of view is that Burton and Sean are bullies. They're jerks. Even in the ads this season, they want us on Rupert's side and against Burton.
Rupert is America's favorite castaway, but his own tribe is taunting him.
The pretty boy jock idiots all gotta pick on me.
How much will he take?
Snap your necks like a damn chicken.
That's an all-new Survivor, CBS Thursday.
It has been 3 episodes and they're already telling us that Rupert is America's favorite player. Anyways, Drake does win reward, and with that they get a map to a buried treasure chest, and inside this chest is well, it smells like crap since the rain got into it. Production really didn't plan for that one, but Burton is thankful for what they do get, and while everyone else, namely Fairplay, complains, this makes Burton look like a good guy. So once again, life is good for Drake. What could possibly go wrong when all the luck is going your way? Well,
as soon as there's a merge, the strongest people are going to be the first people to go. I know right now Rupert and myself are the biggest threats in our tribe.
Between John, Trish, and Sandra, if they do really start putting it together, hell yeah, they should get rid of us now. We don't need to win any more immunities. At some point, we should lose. We can do it, but we have to get rid of Krista, and we have to get rid of Trish. And we have to do it soon.
When Bert comes to me and says, we're going to get rid of some of our Drakes, as soon as he said that, I wanted to smack him and say, you know, traitor. If this was a pirate culture, he'd already be dead.
But why? why? There hasn't been a tribe swap, aka a reason to really throw a challenge to get like another tribes member out of the game. So what's the point? Why risk it? It seems to me like Drake is bored and far too cocky for their own good. Rupert snitches this idea to the women thinking they're gonna be on his side, but as it turns out, Rupert's kind of the only one against this idea, and I'm on Rupert's side, which does help paint his heroic story at it.
Rupert is America's favorite castaway.
So we go to the very physical immunity challenge where they sit out, Rupert and Burton, and Jeff's even like, the heck is going on around here? But it works, and by it works, I mean they lose immunity on purpose. Fun. Back at camp, Sean says, Krista is next. Screw what Sandra wants. Burton's like, that's fine with me. So fair play gets hammered. Again, he goes skinny dipping and he shows up at tribal drunk, which just annoys Jeff to no end. So everyone goes to vote out Krista, and
Krista, this is a tough game about making strategic decisions.
First vote. Krista. Burton. Krista. It's 2 votes, Krista. Burton. Burton. First member of the Drake tribe voted out. Burton, tribe has spoken.
What? This video isn't over. There's a lot of runtime left. But what is going on around here? Burton even gets his final words that he talks to us, the audience, after he gets voted off. I mean, he's gone. He's out of this game. And in the next 2 episodes, Drake continues to lose, only this time it's on accident, as Michelle and Trish are both voted off. So we move to episode 7, where my confusion reaches a tipping point until Drake and Morgan show up for a challenge, and Jeff says,
Together, you voted 6 people out of this game. 3 from Morgan, 3 from Drake. The only real common trait among the 6 people you voted out is that they're no longer in this game. Come on in, guys. The 6 people you have voted out return now as a 3rd tribe. Do you guys have a tribe name?
We're the Outcasts.
Not unlike the pirate days. They got tired of somebody, felt they were no longer worthy. They shipped them out to sea, left them for dead. Typically, they died, but every so often they didn't. And when they came back, they usually had one thing on their mind. I'm guessing it's the same with you, Michelle.
Revenge, baby. All about revenge.
Plot twist, they're back as their own tribe and they're ready for revenge. This is a huge shock if you're watching the season now, you don't know the storyline, but back in the day when it was airing live, this is how they advertised the upcoming massive twist.
Something amazing is happening on Survivor. Something that's never happened before.
It's the game to end all games.
The tribes will face their worst nightmare.
Your past has come back to haunt you.
Survivors voted out are coming back.
No way.
He's ready to kill.
And wait till you see how they changed the game. Don't miss the episode everyone will be talking about.
You may be going home.
Catch an all-new Survivor, CBS Thursday.
So at the time, audiences likely knew what tomfoolery was coming, though I think it works better as a surprise. Jeff explains that if the Outcasts win this challenge, they get to vote 2 people back in the game. If they lose, they only get to vote 1 person in. Big stakes are on the line. So what happens?
Go! Burton out to an early lead. Burton is first back. Puts his flag in and starts digging. Burton for the Outcast, first through the cage. Trish through to the second cage for the Outcast. Drake with a slight lead over the Outcast. Morgan still struggling. Drake and the Outcast have everybody free. Morgan still trying to untie tribe members. Double. Drake's pole's falling apart. Outcast very close to a major upset. Outcasts have their keys, unlocking the last lock. Michelle's through, Burton's through. Ryan is through. The Outcasts defeat Morgan and Drake. This challenge is over.
The Outcasts win, in large part thanks to Burton, and his odds of returning are high in my opinion. I mean, you are watching this video after all. Sean is voted out of Drake, and at Tribal Council, it is thunderstorming, though that is kind of par for the course at this point. Burton says no matter what, the Outcasts were determined to win, and I would say he kind of carried their tribe during said challenge. He then promises that if he is voted back into the game, he will align with whoever else gets back in the game, and he won't lie to them. So everyone goes to vote, and
first person going back into the game. Burton. Second person going back into the game.
Oh, God, help me.
Lil's going back to Morgan.
Going
back to Drake.
Believe it or not, Burton's back on his original tribe, and both him and Lil have guaranteed immunity at their next immunity challenge, so he should be able to have some time to work his way in with someone, maybe. Sandra says she's worried about Burton returning and wanting revenge, but actually, Burton comes in with a positive attitude, which makes everyone feel at ease, and Rupert says this is actually a boost to their tribe. Rupert even has an honest conversation with him about feeling bullied earlier, and Burton apologizes, and wow. Burton has either turned a corner as a person, which is likely he did get voted off, or he's fooling everyone, but either way it's working. But then both tribes meet with Jeff, and
once again, the game changes when you least expect it. Drop your buffs. Emergent. Burton wins immunity by a hair. You already have immunity. As a result of the resurrection vote, you now win individual immunity. You can assign that to somebody, knowing you'll still be immune, or you can hoard it and make sure everybody else is vulnerable at tonight's tribal council.
So Burton has double immunity, which is unnecessary because they are both only good at the next tribal, but whatever. The tribes are coming into this merge tied 5-5, and they need someone to flip to avoid a potential rock draw vote. Both tribes then celebrate with the merge feast, and it doesn't take much time before the scrambling starts on who to flip, which has Burton pitching to Lil.
I've talked to these guys, and they like you even though they don't know you. If you come over and vote with us, I think we can get really far. Really far.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Burton took me aside. He says, it's like this. We're going to try to go all the way, you and I.
Unlike Burton, Lil makes decisions based on her emotions. A lot, and he is taking advantage of that here. At Tribal Council, he gives his extra immunity to Rupert as a sign of their new friendship, and when they all vote,
seventh person voted out of the tribe. Andrew. Andrew, tribe has spoken. It's time for you to go.
Episode 9 starts and Ryan-O, aka Savage's right-hand man, says, yeah, I know I'm going next, so I might as well do something to save myself. So he tries to instill fear in Burton by saying, Drake's gonna flip on you. They voted for you before. They'll do it again. Burton's like, yeah, okay. And he catches a stingray for everyone to eat. So we go to the reward challenge where Rupert wins and gifts it to Burton and Lil. How nice. I must say, it might only be episode 9, but Burton has really turned things around. I mean, he's on the path to be a hero. His social game has improved, and I think he has a fighting chance to win in a heroic fashion. As Burton explains,
I'm doing my best to act like, hey, I'm Drake, I'm Drake, I'm Drake. That's a bunch of lies. I want to win this game for the outcast tribe and those of us who got kicked out. So I started thinking about this. As far as my actions, I have no loyalty whatsoever to Drake.
We cannot beat Rupert, Sandra, or Krista, and we cannot even separate them. No one can.
Yep.
For that reason alone, it might be worth taking Rupert out.
We're crazy if we don't. I mean, that's numbers, man. Burton knows how devious I am, therefore he feels I'd be the perfect person to go along with this plan with him. And he was exactly right.
Oh my gosh, Burton is turning heel on us. I mean, the show painted him as a villain in the beginning, but they mostly hid his actions and instead showcased Sean's. But this is still a surprise. Burton has been playing us all. He has his big breakfast reward with Lil, and in doing so, he makes her a promise.
Who do we want the top three? John, you and me.
Then if we have to get rid of John, we get rid of John.
I personally think his best chance at the end is against Lil in fair play, so this is a good idea. Ideally, head-to-head with Lil would guarantee a win since she isn't respected and they both return to the game. We see Rupert win immunity, which upsets their plans, but then Krista says Burton needs to go soon, so he doesn't win at all. But as mentioned earlier, Ryan-O is next, and at Tribal, he is voted off 8-1.
Ryan, tribe has spoken. Coming back, guys.
Episode 10 starts off with Burton and Fairplay acknowledging that with Drake, they're going to finish 4th and 5th, and that needs to change fast. Rupert has to go, so they make an offer to the remaining Morgan that they can't refuse.
Number 1, Rupert goes first. If he doesn't win immunity, we go to Krista. No one can breathe a word over all.
Just remember, the 5 of us have to stick together and tell all 3 of them.
We tell them Rupert's going home. Their eyes are about as big as the sun. They can't believe it. They're like, oh my God, thank you guys so much. Thank you so much. So the game's about to take a serious change.
Considering the focus and excitement, I would say this is a for real moment and not a nonsense offer. Prior to the reward challenge that Burton wins with Lil, who kisses him by the way, and he's like, please Lil, stop doing that. You do it all the time. He said, I will give my reward to Rupert if I win. So when he does win, he gives it to Fairplay. Why? Why not just keep it at that point? But he later explains that he didn't give it to Rupert to keep him weak. Okay, I guess that makes sense, but why even say that you're going to give it to him? It's confusing because Rupert goes back to camp and he's livid with Burton, and that's when Burton and Fairplay decide to have a secret conversation, and Sandra overhears this and passes on to Rupert, who only gets even more mad at Burton. Great! We go to the immunity challenge, where it really feels like Burton's game hangs in the balance, and...
Nil, out of the game. Burton wins immunity again. Safe from tonight's vote. 3 more days out here.
Easy peasy. Now to get Rupert out. If he is gone, then the likelihood of Sandra and Krista being free agents is high, as Rupert is the linchpin holding them together. Well, Burton lies to Rupert and says, obviously, Dara is the next to go. So they all vote at tribal council, and...
First vote. Dara. Dara. 2 votes for Dara. John. Rupert. 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 9th person voted out of the tribe. Rupert. Rupert. The tribe has spoken.
Wednesday, on a special night, before the hour's over.
It's not a good situation.
One of these castaways will commit the single worst act of deception
I never trusted you from day one, and you can't be trusted.
in Survivor history.
You're lying, and you have a reason to lie.
Who is it?
I just want to go home.
Find out on an all-new Survivor on a special night, CBS Wednesday.
I am not sure what is more surprising, the Outcast twist or Rupert going out this early, considering he was clearly the show's favorite character and he got such a large focus all of the time. Back at camp, Sandra goes off on Fairplay for lying to her again and says no one can trust this snake, no one. But an even smellier problem has arose as the fish they caught earlier are gone. They were in the bucket when they left for tribal and now they're back and the bucket's empty. So where did the fish go? Everyone correctly suspects this is a revenge move, and Sandra clearly didn't have the time because she was bickering with Fairplay, so Krista must have done it. That's the conclusion everyone comes to, and the next morning the smell is unbearable as Burton locates the missing fish, dumped behind their camp. What the heck?
Holy, dude, there's a big fish back here.
You're the only one. You're the only one that could have done it. That's the point.
I didn't do it.
You're lying, and you have a reason to lie.
Wait,
If we're gonna share things, we can't sabotage the tribe.
When we got back to camp, I kept thinking, you know what? They're not coming to enjoy Rupert's fish. Screw that. And I trip on a vine and I spill all the fish. And I started arguing with John to the point where it saved me because they never pointed the finger at me as to being the one dumping the fish.
Wow, and Sandra is leaving Krista out to die. But now it's time for the family reward challenge where love is abound, and it makes for a touching moment after all the fighting. Burton hugs his mom, and Fairplay is expecting to see his grandmother.
Oh, dude, how's Grandma? Huh? How's Grandma? She died, dude.
John, you went from really happy to really sad.
It was either going to be my buddy or my grandmother coming, and my grandmother's not here for a reason.
Sorry for that news.
Well, that sucks. I mean, what a way to get the news, too, from this guy, Thunder D. Everyone minus Sandra, for some reason, is very sympathetic towards Fairplay. Obviously, he lost his grandmother. So they throw the challenge to let him spend time with his friend, Thunder D, in order to find out more about his grandmother's last days and what happened. So when that occurs...
That was a brilliant performance, sir. Like that? Yeah, thank you. Did you like mine? I couldn't cry. I tried. I brought on a couple tears for you. It was sweat. My grandmother's sitting home watching Jerry Springer right now.
She isn't dead. Fairplay fooled everyone. While this is shocking, it ends up being strategically beneficial to Fairplay as well, since he can now swear on his grandma and people actually believe him for the rest of the game. Once again, while Fairplay and Burton talk strategy, Sandra, and this time Tawana, joins her, and they overhear what they're talking about. This is Sandra's attempt to swing Tawana to her side. Not great for the alliance she made with Burton. So we go to the immunity challenge, where...
Burton wins immunity. Once again, you're safe from tonight's vote. Everybody else, very vulnerable at tonight's tribal council. Yo, survivors, come back. I know I've already given you immunity. Do you see what word I'm looking at that's wrong? Liaison has another eye. Immunity. It's back up for grabs. Dara wins immunity. Nice job.
Well, that was a strange series of events. Who has ever won immunity and then had stripped away due to a production error? Burton. Burton is the answer. Back at camp, Sandra tells Krista that Burton has to go tonight, but then Fairplay throws a Hail Mary pass when he swears on his grandma to Sandra and Krista that he wants him and Burton to go to the Final Four with them, and they believe him. So at Tribal Council, Tawana is voted off 5-2.
See? The tribe has spoken.
3 episodes left. Go! 6 castaways are fighting to make it to the Final Four.
It's cutthroat to the end.
Survivor Thursday. He calls himself Johnny Fairplay.
I'm much more than just a pretty face.
But little Johnny doesn't play fair.
Every time a plan went down, you put it together.
Even lying about his grandmother's death. Now will someone finally take him down?
And we'll get John, because John is just like a girl.
An all-new Survivor, back on its regular night, CBS Thursday.
I mean, I'm surprised the ad implied someone needs to shoot Fairplay. A bit extreme, don't you think? Well, episode 12 starts with Burton catching a truckload of fish, and as I said before, who needs Rupert for that? However, when he is teamed up with Sandra and Krista on the reward challenge, they lose by a lot, and back at camp they start grilling him on the deal Fairplay made with them, and he has no idea about this apparently.
John talked to you about everything? You're not going to screw us over?
No, I haven't even talked to him about anything.
John said if we saved you, that Darren Lil would go.
Okay, I haven't even talked to John.
I'm in a bit of an odd position right now in that I am alone in the camp with Sandra and Krista. And I haven't talked to John fully about this, so I don't know what to tell them. I mean, I've lied to him enough. I guess I could continue to lie. But at the same time, I don't want to piss them off because they're going to be on the jury and I want to be the one they vote for.
Burton has never been one to talk to me and Krista clearly about anything. But let it be known that if it wasn't for me and Krista, Burton would not be here today. You would think that that would count for something. And then here he is saying that he can't promise us third and fourth. That's a bunch of baloney. The first chance I get to send him home, he's going home.
I gotta say, Burton and Fairplay suck at communication, especially Burton. Constantly, people will be like, Burton doesn't really talk to me about strategy, or I don't really talk to Burton. So Burton's communication skills just are lacking, and it's actively hurting his game. But the next day, he has an eye-opening conversation with Krista, and as it turns out, she says she is willing to flip on her ally in Sandra. Wow. This is huge, though Burton is unusually confident he could beat Krista in the final 2. I mean, maybe, but then Fairplay tells Burton that Krista is next and Burton says, okay, that's fine by me. And he thinks he could beat Fairplay in a final 2 as well. Now that I agree with. But speaking of all these final 2 scenarios, what about the deal he made with Lil? That's what she wants to know.
Are you still thinking that we're the final 2?
I'm really not thinking. I don't want to think that far in advance.
Okay, you're telling me now that you've had second thoughts.
That's not true. I think 2 tribal councils in advance.
I am not going to screw you over, okay?
What I have told Lil is that I will never lie to her in this game. I told her I'd take her as far as I could, and I do have an allegiance with her, and I do have an alliance with her, but I have never promised her top 2.
Who do we want the top 3? John, you and me.
Then if we have to get rid of John, we get rid of John.
I mean, come on, Burton. If you're gonna go full villain, just tell her what she wants to hear. Commit to it. Heck, I would have taken her to the end regardless, because then the jury doesn't have to take into account the stigma of already being voted off. We then see Dara win her second immunity, and Sandra says, I want Burton gone tonight. So at Tribal Council, they all vote, and...
First vote. Krista. Lil. It's 2 votes, Lil. Krista. 11th person voted out of the tribe. Krista. Tribe has spoken.
Last Tribal Council, another blind side. Chalk another one up for John and me. Krista didn't see it coming. Just out of nowhere, she was voted out. Beautiful things, that's 3 in a row.
Oh my goodness, the cockiness is rising in Burton and Fairplay. Fairplay even tells Lil and Burton that Dara is next, and Burton says this is cool with him, but Lil is offended as she thought the deal was that her and Dara go to the final 4 with Burton and Fairplay. Sandra should be going out next in her eyes, and she takes offense to this. But at the reward challenge, Burton wins, picks Fairplay to go with him, and he wins a truck. He didn't know that was going to be the reward. No one did. Awesome. So that night, when enjoying the reward,
John and I were kind of laughing because the girls, all they had were mussels that John, Lil, and I collected, and they're not going to catch any fish. I mean, honestly, those 3 girls have all been riding coattails the entire time they've been out here.
All you gotta say to me, Sandra, whichever one of the guys doesn't have immunity, that's who's going home.
See who does immunity tomorrow, guys. Because I think we need to think about Burton first.
I'd be happy with third.
Heck yeah, I would be too.
All right,
better than fifth.
let's do this.
Are we worried about the girls strategizing against us?
I mean, not one of them has had a strategy yet in this game.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's starting now.
But it only takes one person to swing the vote. So figure we had a 1 out of 3 chance of pulling one of them back. And we feel that we definitely have an intellectual advantage over the others.
Either Burton or Fairplay is going next. The cockiness is up to a whole nother level, and the show is leaning into it hard. Burton does say, let's keep the truck a secret to avoid jealousy, but upon arriving at camp, Lil and Dara are pretending that Sandra is quitting, which sounds wildly out of character for Sandra to do, and therefore Burton correctly susses that they must be trying to trick him. But as it turns out, the trick does work. It just works on Fairplay, and he offers Sandra a new final 3 with him and Burton, and she says yes, just enough to get Lil to flip for sure, because Sandra's like, hey Lil, guess what they offered me? Dara wins her 3rd immunity in a row, and so Burton and Fairplay talk about what their next game move shall be.
I'm really upset because I think she made it people think that D1 that you're going. That's my guess.
No. Lil's acting weird. She's on her last leg. She's just not doing well. And she's developing a pretty tight relationship with Dara that's making me nervous.
So here's the deal. Lil told me that you 3 had talked about like a girl's all answer.
She must be making that up because I'm not going with Lil anyway.
Well,
I wouldn't worry if I were you because I'm going to write Lil's name down big as if that's what's going to save me, then so be it.
All 3 girls are as dumb. There's no, they share a brain collect. I don't even think they share a whole brain, or obviously they would figure out, hey, we can get rid of these guys. They're foolish. I mean, the girls in this game have done nothing to, nothing for women's rights or anything like that. I mean, like, they'd be better off, you know, scrubbing potatoes and mopping floors to get bills passed at this point. They've shown that they're nothing more than followers.
First vote. Lil. 2 votes Lil. Burton. 2 votes Lil, 1 vote Burton. Burton. 12th person voted out of the tribe. Burton. For the 2nd time, the tribe has spoken.
So let's break this down. How is Burton Roberts as a character? I mean, aside from him pretending to be nice for a little bit to the Drake tribe and catching fish, Burton was a villain through and through. The show tried to cover this up a bit in the pre-merge, knowing he would come back and make it far because they wanted you to root for him to some extent. But once he told us post-merge that his kindness was just an act, Burton embraced the role for the most part. On a season themed around pirates, it works. He isn't the most dynamic personality by any means, but Burton plays the returning outcast role perfectly, and really, he enhances the season. Out of 19 character moments shown on the show, 8 were heroic and 11 were villainous, making Burton Roberts a villain on Survivor Pearl Islands. Now, how is Burton Roberts as a strategist? Frankly, not as great as the place he finished in my opinion. Pre-merge, he sucked. He did get voted off first off his tribe after being the one to say, we should throw the immunity challenge. And post-merge, it felt like Fairplay did a lot of the heavy lifting with people constantly saying Burton sucks at communicating, and of course us witnessing that too. Though I cannot downplay that Burton is the reason that Lil flipped from Morgan to Drake, therefore giving Drake the majority come the post-merge. However, he did go on an impressive challenge run, made smart decisions as Fairplay's buddy, and had a legit shot to win if he could have kept Lil as a close partner in crime until the end. We already know that she wins the final 3 immunity challenges season over Fairplay, so he could have beat her at the end easily, either in the immunity challenge or in the final 2. Out of 36 strategic moments shown on the show, 20 were smart and 16 were dumb, making Burton Roberts a smart strategist on Survivor Pearl Islands. Thank you for watching, and doubly thanks for liking and subscribing. See you all next time.